Well, I noticed I said the last video would probably be see you at the track next time, but I just decided I would upload this. So in the last video when I was talking about all the changes that I've made, when I'm running the boost controller off of the boost configuration, if you remember in the video, I couldn't make over 4 pounds on the brake. It would go to about 3.7. So if you look at this video already, on the brake, been on the brake, trans brake activated here, rolled into the throttle there, and about 5 seconds later we came up to 4 pounds. Let's see, cancel. Let's zoom in a little bit more, guys, so we can see this a little better. Now I'm going to scoot this over so you can see the same one we're working on. TPS is at 100% right there. Remember, I didn't really have TPS activated all the way, so this time I made sure I did, and right about there is peak boost at 6.2. So if I would have let go of the brake, it would have made 6.2 pounds boost. Now notice I've already let off the throttle, so the turbo's still building, but it hit the rev limiter right there, and that was at 3740 ish, and it just kind of bounces off the chip there, and that's what you kind of want it to do. And the blue line here is ignition timing, so ignition started to drop. It's pulling timing out once it starts doing that to keep it there. So notice we've got 19 degrees, 22, 25, and it's pulling timing right there. So I'm gonna go check the plugs after that, but there we go. So I didn't let go of the trans brake, you don't see that. I let it come back to normal idle, and I hit it again. Just same thing real quick in the driveway. Just shy of 8 pounds. So I didn't change anything. I'm gonna go in and change my scaling in the boost configuration, but that's what you can do. I no longer, so one of the key things is in the past with those old injectors that were dirty, once they got clogged, it would get to about right here, right at about, let's call it 2750, right on the hump right in here, and it just would not climb up, guys. It would just kind of drop down. I could show you one of the old data logs, but there's no point. And it could never get past that for the longest. It'd take 4 or 5 seconds to get past 2700. And now it just rolls on past. So we're going to be building some boost. Now I have the opportunity to go into my boost configuration. Let me see if I can just pull that up for you for a second. And I can't, because I don't have it up right now. But for example, let's just go to this guy and open. And in that boost configuration, so now I'm going to go into my scaling right here in my boost first time, and you notice I'm right there. It's commanding at dome pressure at 5, at 0 seconds in it's commanding 5, so it didn't actually do exactly what I wanted it to. So you can come over here into boost setup and come in here into the compressor, and you can come into these PID settings and target rate limiter. Notice I'm reading dome map pressure, and so it's in a 5-volt reference wire, and the map sensor just spliced in. But I could probably change these settings a tad and begin to work on that a little bit, and that would kind of get me to where I want. And also in the boost setup, the trans brake input enabled launch target is 4 pounds. So I was wondering if it was going to kick it to wastegate, but it didn't after 4 pounds. So I've got a little bit of work to do in figuring out and sorting through some of this, but I'm going to go back into the basic settings and work with these settings a tab. And I may change this limiter just a little bit and kind of see what I can get done here. Now, I don't actually have this activated. Well, actually I do. Okay, cool. Let's go to outputs and double check. Configure, enabled, PWM. So you can come over to frequency and that will change things too, but we're still kind of working off of basic principles here. And I think I'm going to go in first and change that target rate limiter. And this isn't necessarily frequency, but it's going to kind of limit that ability there. So there's a quick video on what did I change, how did I get this to do this. Once again, I got these just right off of Sloppy. So I'm probably going to go in and change the I and the D just a tad. And then I'll go back out there and change that to see if it's going to, because the goal is to see how quick when you get into boost it will follow what you're commanding. And so if you see target boost 1.9, I don't know why. Target boost 4 is what it should be. Targeting 4. And we overshot 4. So 4 pounds, 4 pounds, 4 pounds. That's kind of interesting that so as I'm sitting here looking at this, I've got some things to sort through, guys. Why it didn't actually hit that mark and why it went over, but I'll get there and I'll figure that out, because if you notice this boost dark red right here, coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up, coming up, right there. So that will be interesting. We'll figure that out, why it went there. Because when you look over here, boost pound 6 right here, and why it put the target right there at 4. So I'm not really sure why it did that, because it put 4 up here for some reason. It just may be the scaling when I scale it in, but I'll figure that out, because it actually overshot the target and it looked like it was still climbing. So that's going to be important to get that to follow. And that's one of the tricky things to setting up these boost controllers and getting them to work right, because this time, you know, we went almost all the way up to 8 pounds. So it shouldn't be doing that as much, but that's okay. I mean, at least I'm building some boost on the line. I'd rather have a little bit more. I don't think for the amount of time that I'll be sitting there spooled up that it'll make that big of a difference. So, but it will in some of those situations where I don't want to build quite as much boost, and it's going to make one more thing that I have to pay attention to driving. But I can get this figured out, tune it. It's going to take some testing, but I'll get there. So guys, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.